Hey everyone, welcome back to the studio. So today I am starting a series where I'm going to take you through step by step on how to marble a candle. There's several techniques we're going to go through. I brought out some examples to show you things like a roll technique or a hot pour technique, or even marbling a candle after you've poured it and it has cooled. There's so many fun ways to marble a candle. If you've ever wanted to know how it happens, or if you want to learn step by step the techniques yourself, stick around. This series is going to be really fun. And welcome to Edgy Wick. All right, for this first technique, I'm going to show you how to do a rolled marbling effect. And so let me show you some examples of that now. This is what a rolled marble effect is going to look like when you're done. And I'll do some close-ups of it as well. As you can see, the colors blend together. It just creates this very cool pattern. This is a very beginner-friendly marbling technique. I think you'll love it. It's easy to do and it's really fun. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Let's talk about the supplies, the things specifically you're going to need. So basically, you're going to need everything you need for a regular candle: your wax, your container, your wick, right? Fragrance, if you want to add fragrance to it, which is a really fun way to spice up your candle. But specifically, you'll want to get a straight-sided container. And this is because you're actually rolling the wax inside to coat the entire inside of the container. So if it's straight-sided, it just makes it easier. The color won't get like bunched up in any particular area. But of all of the marbling techniques, this one's the most flexible. So if you have something that's more bowl-shaped or square-shaped, you can still do this technique. And then, of course, get something that's clear so you can see your marbling through it. The other thing you're going to need is you're going to need something like a paper clip. And the reason for this is because you just want to dip a little bit of the dye inside your container. So if you use something like a dropper, it'll put too much dye in and it'll end up muddying the candle. So a paper clip, and it can be metal like this one, or you can get one of those that have like the little rubber coating on them. It doesn't matter. Just something really thin that you can dip into your candle dye and then dip into your wax. And then, of course, what I just mentioned, candle dye. You can't use like a tablet or powder form candle dye. You'll want to use a liquid form candle dye for this. And we're going to use the liquid straight from the bottle right into the wax. All right, the final two things I would recommend, and you're going to see in my demonstration, I don't use either of these, but I highly recommend them for you. One is to put something down on the surface, like a towel that you don't mind getting stained, or even paper or plastic, something to cover your surface. Because what happens when you roll the candle is sometimes that wax will pour out of the candle. And so if that happens, if you get a little spill, then you want something that protects your surface. In my situation, I have a stainless steel table, so I can just clean it up afterwards. And then finally, gloves. You'll want to wear some type of latex gloves if you don't want to get stain on your fingers. Candle dye stains very easily and it's messy. So just make sure you have clothes that you don't care if they get stained. As you can see, I get candle dye on my clothes. You could wear an apron if you want. Wear gloves if you don't want to get that stain on your hands. All right, with that, let's go ahead and get started, and I'll show you how to do this roll technique. One of the reasons I wanted to make this video is because when I first started learning how to marble candles, there was not a lot of information out there. And so I ended up learning how to make marbled candles through trial and error. And I wasted a lot of wax, a lot of hours, hundreds and hundreds of candles, really trying to perfect this process. And so I want to show you really step by step how to make a marbled candle without going through that huge learning curve, because it's just such a waste. And honestly, I think knowledge is power, and all of us can learn from each other. And it just helps each of us build up our business or build up our particular skill sets if we are hobbyists in candle making. All right, so I've cleaned out each of my jars, and I'm actually going to set up my wicks, and then I will come back and we will go to the next step. All right, for this technique, the roll technique, you want to have everything ready before you get started. You're going to be using a liquid candle dye, and in this case, I'm using 3. I'm creating one of our signature fragrances, which is wildflower. So I want 3 different colors, but you could just use 1 color if you want. You're also going to want to use something like a paper clip or something really thin to put your dye into the candle. Because if you try and use like a dropper, you're going to put a lot of dye in, which is probably going to be too much. So make sure you have something small, thin, go find a paper clip and that'll work great. The other thing you want to do is have your wax ready to go, have all of your fragrances or UV inhibitors, everything that you want to put into your wax ready to do this, because the process happens pretty quickly. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pour a little bit of wax into the bottom of my container, just a tiny bit. So here's a pro tip for you. The less wax you pour in, the richer your colors are going to be. So if you want more of a muted color, then you want to use a little bit more wax. If you want a deeper color, use a little bit less. So you're going to pour a little bit of wax into your container, and then you're going to add your dye. So let's start with the wax. So I'm going to take the wax and I'm just going to pour a little bit. The temperature of the wax, it's going to depend on your type of wax that you're using. But as you can see, there's just a little bit of wax in that container. You can pour it a little hotter than you normally would to set up a candle, but because it's gonna dry so quickly. And as you can see, I'm putting just a little bit of color into that container, and then I'm wiping off my paper clip so I don't mess up my other colors. Then I'm going to go to the next color, and I'm going to put it in a different part of the candle, and then I'll do my third color, and I'm going to put it in a different part of the candle. So now you're going to take your candle and you're going to very slowly tip it to the side, and then you're going to take it as high up as you want on your candle, about the space that you would pour it, maybe just a little bit higher so you don't have any white spaces. And you're just going to roll your candle. And you want to go slowly because you don't want your different dye colors to mix. You want them to kind of blend as they go. So you just go slowly. If you miss a spot, don't worry about it. You can come back and fix that with another roll. And you're just going to keep rolling your dye until you run out of wax. So you run out of wax like that. And then look at the cool colors it makes. All right, so I'm going to go to the other side of the table. I'm going to do a little bit more to finish the areas that I missed. So see, we didn't quite finish the candle. We missed a few places. So that's okay. What you're going to do is you're going to pour a little bit more wax in, and then go with your color to the same places that you put it before, add a little bit of color, and repeat the process. Now, the key is to really sufficiently let this dry. So just to show you what the colors look like, you can see the greens coming through. You can see the purple. Purple is a really strong color, so it is definitely going to come through fast. And you can, of course, see that magenta swirling through on this. It's just such a cool technique, and wait till you see it actually set up. Now, pro tip on this is you want to make sure that this wax is completely dry and that the wax that you're pouring is at a lower temperature so that you don't melt this work that you just finished off your candle. So I'm going to do it a couple more times, set this one aside, let everything dry on it, and then I will show you what it looks like when we fill the candle. So we're just going to do this process the same as we did before. So we're going to pour our wax in. Put our color in. Wipe off our paper clip. Put more color in. Wipe, and then put the third color in if you're doing 3. Again, this looks really cool with just 1 color. You could also do 2 colors. And then we're slowly going to put it on its side and start rolling the jar. Helps to have like really steady hands. All right. And check out that color. It looks amazing. So we're just going to let that dry, set that next to the other one. It takes about 5 or 10 minutes. While these are solidifying, you can let your wax cool. So you want your wax temperature to be a little bit cooler than what you would normally pour because you don't want it to melt what you've already done. I'll come back as soon as these are ready. We'll finish up the pour and then show you the final result. I've let my containers completely solidify and I've let my wax cool to 150 degrees. And all you're going to do is slowly fill your containers to your normal level. If there's wax showing above it, don't worry about that. You can wipe that off afterwards. We're just going to slowly pour this in. We're going to add our wick setters and let them harden. All right, our candles have hardened. They look amazing. Let's take a look at the results. So as you can see, we did the roll technique with the 3 colors, and they really do come out amazing. They're vibrant. You can see the greens, the purples, the magenta. It just looks fantastic. So to give you an example of how we finish the top. So when you complete your candle and it dries, you're going to see the natural wax on the inside, and then you're going to see, of course, all that great color on the outside. And that looks amazing. You could leave it just like this. But what we do at Edgy Wick is we go in, and I'll show you, and we just take a heat gun and we very carefully melt the top, and then we add the colors that are actually in the marble. So in this case, we added the purple, the magenta, and the green. And it looks really cool. I'll give you some close-ups of it as well. And then you can just add your label onto the front. As you can see, this is our wildflower. It's such a great fragrance. I just love this scent. It's light. It is year-round. And we have our label just blend right in with these beautiful colors. I hope you give this one a try. This is such a fun technique. It's very beginner friendly, and I think you'll really like it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you really like this technique. Let me know in the comments, have you done this yourself? Would you like to try it? If so, what were your results? And I will see you in the next one. Bye now.